What's up, guys? My name is Blaze, and on today's video I want to talk a little bit about Animal Crossing and do something a little bit different and kind of help you guys get some creative juices flowing and start thinking about what your theme town is going to be when Animal Crossing Switch comes out for the Nintendo Switch. We don't know when that's going to be. We don't really have any like real definitive dates on the Nintendo Switch version of Animal Crossing. We know it's 2019. But Nintendo's not giving us anything, and it's the 15th week of 2019. I'm keeping track of it on this board back here, waiting for Animal Crossing week 15. There's potential, there's a rumor going around that it might happen on Tuesday, that there's a Nintendo Direct going to be on Tuesday, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that. It could happen, but it's a wait and see kind of thing. So in the meantime, I wanted to go over 5 potential theme towns that might work for you. These may or may not work for you, and that's totally cool if they don't. But they also might inspire a different theme that you've wanted to use. Maybe you've forgotten about it. But I have 5 ideas I want to go over today, talking about theme towns, and I want to prelude that to my very first town ever. And actually, it's funny because the GameCube version was my first version of Animal Crossing, and I actually had 2 theme towns on the GameCube version. Initially, my very first town ever was called Hazard, and for those of you, for like the 2 of you who know what I'm talking about, it was going to have a theme, but it never actually came together because I didn't think about it at the time. But after about maybe a year and a half of playing Animal Crossing, I decided to do a second town. And this is the one that really resonated with me because I thought it was a really cool idea, and I was able to get some really cool themes out of it. So my second town was called Atlantis. And I'm actually kind of fascinated with the whole idea of Atlantis and a mythological, technologically advanced city that sank beneath the water. I think that's such a really cool idea. And when I first made the town in the GameCube version, I had golden trees everywhere. I had little signposts with bubbles on them to kind of give you the idea that you're going underwater. I did about as much as you could in that game to give off the idea that, hey, this is an underwater town. There's only so much you could do in that game, but I did as much as I could, and I thought it was fun. I thought it actually worked out pretty well. And one of these days I might show it off. Hit like and post in the comments down below if you'd like to see that town. I will show it off on a future video. However, when the new Animal Crossing came out, when New Leaf came out, I carried that tradition over. I needed a town name. I didn't know what to think of, and I thought, you know what? I like that Atlantis town that I made long time ago, so let me go ahead and make that again. So my New Leaf game on launch day of Animal Crossing New Leaf was called Atlantis, and ever since then I've devoted so much time to making Atlantis look and feel about as much underwater as I possibly could. So there's only so much you can do, and I think I succeeded in a lot of ways. Not every way I wanted to, but I did succeed in a ton of ways. So in the future, I would love to show that town off again. If you want to see it, post in the comments below, let me know. But some of the things I did, just to give you like a brief overview, is I used a mossy rock path that looked like it was a path that was kind of overtaken by like moss and algae. I also had I had 4 player characters in the game. My main character, which was of course myself. The only thing I did wrong in this town was name the character after myself. Not a big deal though, it really didn't matter in the long run, because I kind of like the idea of living in Atlantis, but if I can go back and really give it another shot, I would probably name my character something else and have a different main character, maybe a female, as the mayor, or maybe Poseidon as the mayor. And have a 4th character that fit the theme more appropriately than I do. But I did make one of those character names Poseidon, I found out much later on that Poseidon was not the king of Atlantis, that his son was actually the king of Atlantis. Who knew? But it's close enough, so I don't think most people would know that, except for you now, but shh, we'll keep that a secret. I had another player character named Ariel, of course, from The Little Mermaid. She has all the mermaid stuff in her house and the princess stuff in her house as well. And I had another character named Milo, and Milo is based off the character from the Atlantis movie from Disney. So lots of interesting ideas that I just kind of pulled into my town, and I stream my town almost every Sunday on my Twitch channel, so you'll be able to see it there if you want to get a sneak peek. But if you'd like to see a town tour, definitely let me know in the comments below. But that's my town, and lately I've been thinking a lot about what I wanted to do in the new Animal Crossing when it comes out for the Switch. I haven't really thought about it extensively. I had a couple of ideas probably like mid last year and didn't really keep them on my radar, but now that it's getting closer, I think it's definitely time to start thinking about some new and cool theme towns. So let's talk about the 5 ideas. The first one's kind of lame. It's more about like stories that you hear as a child. What are those things called? The fairy tales, I guess. And of course, I don't want to prolong it anymore, but the name of the theme that I would go with as a last resort, and maybe you like this, maybe you can do something with it, but Little Red Riding Hood would be an interesting way to like have a thematic town built around a girl main character who has the Little Red Riding Hood gear on. She has like the hood, and I think there's a dress that goes with it too. It's actually a really cool costume for Animal Crossing. You could, with Amiibo support, you can invite only wolf characters to be in your town, which I think is a pretty cool idea. You could even kind of cross mingle that with the three little pigs and have 3 pig characters in your town. And depending on how much customization Nintendo gives us for the new Animal Crossing, you might be able to do a brick house, a straw house, or a wooden house, depending on how much you're able to customize your villagers' homes. But that is going to depend on a lot of things. I don't know if that's going to mean anything to anybody, but the first thing I came up with was like, oh, that might be a cool idea. The second thing is kind of along those lines, but it's a little bit different. I thought of The Wizard of Oz. So I think The Wizard of Oz is an interesting kind of way to... It might rely on some things for The Wizard of Oz, but you could definitely have Dorothy as the main character, as the mayor. You could have Tin Man, Cowardly Lion, Scarecrow. I think that's going to be all of the towns that all the player characters they give us. Just like in New Leaf, it might only be 4 player characters, but they might expand that a little bit too and allow you to do 5 or 6 player characters per town, which might be pretty fun. Give you some extra storage and some extra houses to pay off, which I know I like doing that. So if that's the case, you might be able to have Glinda or the Wicked Witch or any number of other characters in there, possibly even Oz himself, or I'm sorry, not Oz, the Wizard, the Wizard of Oz himself, in an Emerald House. And I'm really hoping that Nintendo allows you to utilize ore to customize the exterior of your house, to potentially have a castle frame with emerald ore as the exterior paint or the exterior look. That would be super awesome, and it'd fit that theme so well. I would love to see just the ore in general being used in a new and innovative way, and being able to put it on your house would be perfect. But there's some interesting things you can get out of The Wizard of Oz if you're a fan. If not, that's okay. These next 3 are the ones I really wanted to touch on, so hopefully you've stuck with me. But the next one that I think is interesting and probably one of my favorites that I thought of in this video is Steven Universe. So I've not seen Steven Universe, but it's one of those cartoons that I look at, and I've seen a couple of episodes, and I know there's a whole lore, and there's a whole history, and there's a whole like unfolding story that unravels as you get through later seasons of the story. A friend of mine really enjoys Steven Universe, and I think that there's definitely some depth in that cartoon show that I think you could very easily incorporate into Animal Crossing. Of course, your main character could be Steven, and you could have Opal and a few of the other gemstones as player characters in your town. Going along with that idea that your ore can be used for something more than just furniture. Perhaps public works projects could be modified with ore to have a sapphire windmill or a sapphire light post or something like that. That might be pretty cool. It'll help you decorate the outside of a player's house if you have a public works project outside. You could also do really any of those characters, really, depending on how far into the game you want to go. And if they do allow you to have more than 4 characters, awesome. That's going to make all the difference, because you can have all of the gemstones. You can even have Steven's dad as a character in there as well. So interesting ideas. I really want to see if anybody can capitalize on that and make that something really, really cool. I would love to, but I just don't know enough about that, about the history of that show or the story about that show to really dive in deep enough to make something really fun. So speaking of cartoons, though, another one I thought of is more akin to Japanese anime. I don't want to say cartoons, that would be offensive, but anime. I think that it'd be pretty cool to have a Sailor Moon themed town. You can have of course, Serena and all the Sailor Scouts as player characters. Of course, pick your favorites. You could also have the whole town full of cats to really capitalize on the idea that they all came with their own cat for the most part. You could really make the town, feel like a Japanese town if you really wanted to, and just overall make it something special. If you were a fan of Sailor Moon. I watched it growing up. It was one of my first introductions into anime. I liked it, and being a grown man, probably shouldn't admit that, but I don't really care. I thought the show was very good. It got me into Dragon Ball Z and a couple of others that I kind of dabbled in, but I mainly gravitated towards Dragon Ball Z, and Sailor Moon was kind of maybe a phase for me. I don't know, but I thought it was a cool show and a cool story, and I liked the concept too. So if you are an anime fan, there are countless there are countless anime out there that you can adapt to a town in Animal Crossing. So keep that in mind. I just more recently came up with an idea of maybe vampires being something, and I think there's a couple of anime that have vampire themes, so maybe you could do something with that. Halloween's always my favorite, and my favorite holiday. So there's 100 different things you can do with just Halloween and vampires in general. So not to give too much away, I want to do a series of these videos to give you guys some inspiration. So more on that later. But I do also want to I have one more idea I want to go over, and it kind of goes in line with the Sailor Moon idea. And of course, it's Power Rangers, another Sentai, Super Sentai Japanese show, but Power Rangers was kind of my thing growing up. Like, I loved Power Rangers, the original series, and there are probably 50 new series that you could pull from if you really wanted to make a Power Rangers themed town. So there's nothing to worry about there. You've got all these different things that you can do, and I really want to see kind of what people do incorporate into their town. So of course, the town could be named Angel Grove. You could have a house for the school. You can have a house for the command center. You can have a house for the recreation center, the teen rec center that they have in the show. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's like Ernie's Juice Center. I can't remember what it's called. It's been a long time, but there are countless things you can do with just the Power Rangers idea. And I think that I'm pretty sure there were like costumes for different like Sentai characters in Animal Crossing. There was pink, there was blue, or there's pink and red, and I know there's yellow. I think there's blue, and I think there is green maybe also, but I know that those costumes exist. So collecting those and putting those on your characters might be pretty cool. And they also have those villagers that wear those costumes as well. So you can try to invite those villagers in with your amiibo cards if you have them, or maybe try to trade people to get them into your town. However you have to do it, I think that would be kind of neat to have that kind of a theme with your town. So those are just 5 of the ideas that I had off the top of my head, and I know that you have a ton. So if I've inspired you, if I've made you think of anything that you really wanted to try, if maybe you forgot what theme you wanted and then maybe I reminded you, awesome, let me know in the comments. I do want to do another follow-up video to this, so if you have any ideas and you'd like me to use them on the next video, let me know in the comments below. And maybe you have a town currently in Animal Crossing New Leaf that you'd like to throw out there, but I'm very confident that Animal Crossing for the Switch is probably going to use nearly all of the assets from Pocket Camp, and I would not be surprised if the furniture collection becomes just astronomical to a point where you could literally do anything. So I've seen carnival things, I've seen Ferris wheels, and I've seen log benches. I've seen all kinds of cool stuff in Pocket Camp, and I'm pretty sure it's going to make it into the new Animal Crossing for the Switch in one way or another. Hopefully not through DLC or microtransactions, but that's a video for another time. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and I really do appreciate you guys clicking on the video and watching it today. So thanks again, and until next time, guys, my name is Blaze, and I'll catch you on the Flippity Flip.